Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and I thought I'd do another video where I create a useful component using web components. And if you hear my bird in the background, it's because I have a cockatiel who is currently out and about, flying around, making noise, and when I talk it tends to think I'm talking to it. Yes, Wally, I'm talking to you, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, so let's do this. First thing I'm going to do is open this up in Live Server. Now this is the same file I was working in the previous video where I created a modal. So you can see the modal we created with web components. Neat. Now what we're going to do is create a, so I'm going to go in here, my components.js. I'm just going to label this. Yeah, let's collapse that. That's a good idea. But we'll call this the modal component. That's in my previous video, so you can watch that. And now we're going to create the carousel. Okay, class carousel extends HTML element. Constructor super. Good. Let's just make sure that we have it. Give it a tag. Custom elements dot define. We will call it my carousel, and carousel will be the class that it's bound to. Good. Okay. Now the thing about the carousel is there's a couple things we want to do with it. We want to make it sort of dynamic, that you can inject sort of a number of an array of images that it'll like spin through. So I'm thinking that should probably be a property in there. So we're going to just say first off that this dot images equals an empty array to start off with. And actually what we're going to do is with this particular one, we will and then we want another variable that's called this dot current image, because we want to keep track of what its current image is, which we will start at 0. Good. Okay, and actually that should do it. And let me think, is there anything else I really want to do there? Okay. So what I'm going to do is we're going to create a first method. We're going to call it we'll call it give images. This is how we'll pass in the array of images. So we'll call this parameter images. And when we do this, this dot images will equal the images that were passed in. And then what will happen is that this dot inner HTML will equal, so it'll set the first image as the image. It will set a div, and in that div will be an image tag that has a source. Okay. And actually what we'll do is it'll make it an array of objects. Okay, so it'll be like, first will be the URL, so this would be this dot images dot this dot current, because I'm going to get in the habit of using that. So basically it'll initially grab the first image. Okay. No, we should always start with the first image regardless of what this dot current is at. You'll see why I'm using this dot current in a bit. And then that should be dot image, and then we will say alt equals parentheses this dot images 0 dot alt. Okay, we're going to anticipate there's an alt property in that object as well. Let me put a quotation mark. And then we should have a closing thing here. Now something doesn't look right. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Okay. So let's take all of this out. Control X. And then put this all here. There we go. Cool. Okay. And I don't like that red there, so something's not closed. So dot dot. Those match. Oh yeah, this curly bracket here is just floating around. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the idea is that's going to give it the initial set of images. Now we need a way to go, we need a method to go forward an image and backward an image. So we'll do forward, and then again backward will just be the same function, just the minor differences. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll check if this dot current is equal or is greater than or equal than this dot images dot length. In that case, it'll go back to the first image. So in that case, this dot current will equal 0. And then this, copy this code here. Change this dot inner HTML to this dot images 0. And then this time we're going to use this dot current. That's what we'll be using going forward. So it's always grabbing the right number. Else, it should add to the number. So this dot current should plus equal 1. So we add 1 to current. And then we do that. Save. And then backwards, it's going to be pretty much the same thing, just with slightly different logic. So in this case, it's if this dot current is less than or equal to 0. And then so that means you've kind of gone to the, and this is going to be called backward because we're moving backwards. Okay, and if that is the case, then we're going to set this back to this dot current, no, this dot images dot length minus 1, which will be the last index. And then it sets it to that, so it goes back to the beginning. Otherwise, this becomes minus equals 1, and it sets the image again. Cool. Technically, that's all you would need. Okay. Only thing I don't have is styling. Now this one doesn't, do I have shadow DOM on this? I don't have shadow DOM on this. I didn't put shadow DOM on this, so I can actually just use light DOM styling. I could refactor this for shadow DOM. I'm not going to bother at this point. You guys get the idea. The idea is that there's one method that allows you to pass the array of images, which will make the first image appear on the screen. And then we have forward and backwards, which allows you to scroll through the images. So you would assign that to a button. So essentially, let's actually try using this. Okay, what else doesn't it like? Custom elements dot define my carousel. I'm assuming something's not closed. Yeah, that's not right. So my thinking is that probably I need a curly bracket here. There we go. Yep. 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 Okay, good. That works. Let's try this out. So let's go to the index.html. I'm going to get rid of my modal for now. We're going to just do my carousel. Okay. And then I'm going to have two buttons. One's going to be for backward, and the other one's going to be for forward. Which I should probably give IDs. ID equals forward. Backward, actually. I'll just say back. And ID equals forward. There we go. Okay, so let's go to my app.js. I will comment out all that. I want to grab the carousel, so const carousel equals document.query selector my carousel. That'll grab it. And we need to create like an array of images, so we actually do need to create an array of images to pass to it. So images const images equals an array, and again each object needs a property of image that needs to be a string with a URL, and it needs an alt property as for the alt text, which I'm just going to put text. I'm not going to worry about what the alt text will be. So let's go find some images. Image.google.com. We'll just say ponies. Okay. Here's a pony. Copy the image address. Copy. Let's add 3 of these. Let's put a comma at the end here. Let's just put 2 more pictures in that. Here's another picture of a pony. It's a pony. Oh, that's a long URL. Oh well. And more ponies. Copy image address. There we go. And there we go. We got images. So let's pass it the images. That method was give images. So let's use that. So that's a method of the carousel. So carousel.give images. Images. Let's see if we see the image now on the website. Control-Shift-I. Let's take a look at the console. Shorthand property initializer on line 14. Alt text shorthand syntax const images equals const images equals, and do I have a closing square bracket with that? Just one object. Yes. I'm going to get rid of this second object to make this a little bit cleaner, because it's just a huge URL. Okie dokie. Let's get that image again from the ponies. Copy image address. There we go. So passing this to this function, images. So this dot images becomes the array. And then this dot inner HTML, this dot image is 0 dot image should be the source. Good. And the alt. So that should work. Shorthand property initializer. Line 14. Which file? app.js. Oh, ha ha ha. I used an equal sign instead of a colon. My bad. There we go. And there you have a pony. Okay, now we just need to make it with these buttons actually allow you to go forward and backwards. So that's working. So what we're going to do is take these buttons. Okay. Document dot query selector. And that's going to be the button with the ID of back, or we'll say back, sure. Then we're going to add an event listener to it. Add event listener, which is going to be on click. And when it clicks, what we're going to do, I'm going to wrap it in an arrow function so we don't run into any binding issues. It's going to run carousel dot backward. Okay, and then I'll copy this again. And in this case, this one is forward. And we're running the function forward. Okay, so now let's see here. What is it? Cannot read property add event listener of null. app.js.26. Let me just see what the index.html ID is. Oh, just missing an R. Forward. There we go. So let's click here. Forward. And yeah, see it cannot read property image of undefined. Interesting. Defined. So let's think about that logic. Technically the, oh, I know why. Right here in forward, this should be greater than or equal than this dot images dot length minus 1, because again there is no index of the max length. So that should fix it. So now if I go forward, and see now it starts over. So I have a kind of a slider or a carousel of sorts, and see I can go backwards and forwards, and I can add pictures by adding them to that array. So the next step would be the kind of add styling, so that way the picture fits the way I want it to fit, or I could add some parts. But you guys get the idea. I can build the logic. Now I have this component that I can just literally just pass photos to, and then wire up those backward and forward functions wherever I want. You know, and that's the cool thing about that. I don't have to actually build in these two buttons. I could just build in the methods into the component, and whoever uses the component can decide like what to wire those functions up to. Cool. So that's it. That's the general premise of how I would create a carousel as a web component. That one's a little trickier because you realize a little bit more in the methods, but overall very good. See you guys later.